Namo Narayan. See, when we read any of the houses in the horoscope present, most people only know them by their numbers, like the first house, second house, third, fourth, fifth, so and so. But each house is connected to a lok, a plane of existence, a realm, and each of these realm shows a special state or experience of the soul. Venus, which is considered a symbol of love, your luxury, your money. So when it moves through different houses, it does not just indicate your relationships, your money, statistics, your luxurious life, but it actually shows which realm's energy your soul is connected to in this life and which realm it wants to move towards. The movement of all the lokas, all the realms, is the movement of your soul. So, if the soul wants to rise, it must pass through these realms only. When Venus moves through the 12 houses, sometimes it binds the soul to Sutal Lok, sometimes it takes to Swargalok, and sometimes it gives peace in Tapolok. That is why understanding this knowledge is not at all ordinary. It is a deep topic that goes beyond worldly pleasures and begins the path of yoga. Based on this, today we will understand if Venus is any one of these houses of the horoscope, then which loka or which realm it is connected to, and what experience the soul is taking from that single house where Venus is placed. This is the real secret, let me tell you, because lovingly, this is already taught us by the scriptures. Scriptures are the only way now in this Kaliyuga from which you can explore the hidden sectors of your life. And that is why in many of the videos, I say that every planet, every nakshatra, every zodiac, and each and every house of the horoscope is connected to our scriptures, our past life too. But in this, we are going to only focus the scriptural concept of 14 lokas. So now let's understand this house by house. Now, when Venus is in the first house, means your ascendant, then what happens? The first thing to understand is that this house is the foundation of your whole life. Or basically, in simple words, you can say it as just being the duplicate of your nature, of your body, how you will look. As I said, it basically represents your nature, your doorway to your thinking, your body, how will you act in every situation, your personality, everything can be seen from here. So, if Venus is here, it means you have been given the power to create and beautify. You have the quality to make things beautiful, whether it is your personality, your speech, your relationships, anything. But one important thing to learn, when Venus is in the ascendant, you can become a little more emotional. Everything touches your heart deeply. And if these feelings are not balanced enough, then you may start feeling afraid in your own relationships. So, if Venus is in the ascendant, the first step is to bring trust in yourself and stability in your relationships. Now, understand this, when Venus sits in the ascendant, then what happens is that your free will, the power to shape your life as you wish, this is very strong. But this power can gradually reduce if you live in a disturbed or a negative environment, or if you create confusion in your mind. That is why Venus teaches that you should think clearly. That's it. Keep a beautiful environment and maintain love in all relationships. This is the only lesson which is Venus providing you. So, true beauty is not outside, it is in your behavior and thinking only. Now, when Venus is in the second house of your birth chart, then this house is not just about money or speech, it is deeply connected to the unseen. This is a place where light may not reach, but energy is very much strong. It can be very divine or very self centered too. And when Venus is here, then things may look good on the outside, but somewhere inside, there can be a lack of sweetness in relationships. So, if there is no warmth or closeness in your relationships, then Venus can slowly create feelings of emptiness and fatigue. Here, ego can also appear, and the struggle between I and we can begin most of the times. If that starts, then it will surely crack your relationships at the utmost levels. And the energy of this house works at night, not during the day. So if you want to calm your Venus or do remedies for any wish, then it should be done at night only. The energy here works quietly, deeply, but in the dark. And if we talk about hidden relationships, then those can also form. Or desires may arise that you want to keep away from society. Because Venus gives a lot here, but in return, it asks for sweetness. If you do not give it, then the colors of life can quickly start to fade. Now, when the Venus is in the third house, so this house is a little different and deeper. We call it the Mahatal realm, which is a level where the energy is very intense and sometimes confusing. Now, what is your third house? It is usually connected to your siblings, your communication, your courage, short travels. But when Venus is here, relationships can become a little complicated. There may be strong attraction or a fake connection where there are only talks but no heart connection. Sometimes you may feel drawn to someone who is very controlling, someone who wants to dominate everything. So, if Venus is in the third house, it is very important to balance freedom and respect both at one side in your relationship. Otherwise, even attraction can become exhausting for your entire life. Now, how to handle Venus here? Remember, this house works at night. If you feel confusion or unfulfilled desires, then do sadhana at night. Sit quietly, pray, and especially around midnight. This would be very auspicious time for you. This is when the Mahatal energy listens. And if in your life you ever felt that no one understands me or every relationship feels incomplete, then this is Venus signaling that you need a connection with your inner soul. Focus less outside and more inside. And as far as marriage is concerned, then the ages for that are 27, 29, or 35. These are considered best in this placement. And early marriage often works well here. Let's talk about Venus placed in fourth house. So this is the house of Talatal. It means the house of Maya, illusion. And on the outside, everything will look very good. A beautiful home, comfort, car, money, material luxury. You will have everything, nothing will be missing as such. But inside, what happens is that when you pause and look for inner satisfaction, you may feel that even with everything, something is missing. This house shows that all the love, all the relationships in your life are wrapped in illusion. And here's a deep lesson for you, which Venus says: I can give you everything but not satisfaction. It will never give you satisfactory results. Your desires may be fulfilled. You will have all the luxurious material comforts, but the depth of your heart needs has to be found by yourself. Another important point: the influence of your mother, her thoughts, her behavior, these all nature, her personality can greatly affect your love relationships. So, if you notice old emotions coming back in relationships, then it may be because of your mother's unseen energy. If you're always running outside but your mind is not calm, then is in the Talatal, which is testing you. No matter how beautiful your home is, if there's no love, if there's no service and pure energy, then illusion will tire you. But there's a solution of every problem too. If you combine devotion and service within that illusion, then Venus can give you the experience of heaven inside your home itself. You need to go somewhere outside or do a lot of hard work, but just you need to control and do devotion combined with service. Now look, when Venus is in the fifth house, so this house is connected to Sutal Lok, which is a good but deep level where love is not just feeling, it becomes sacrifice. And here relationships will have connection, emotions, and creativity, but it will not always be easy. Many times, people with Venus in the fifth house face stress in their first one or two relationships. Either the other person leaves or they have to pull back themselves. This is the test of love in the fifth house. Not just devotion, but giving up is the real test. If you often feel betrayed in love, or a relationship is draining you completely, then pause, think carefully, and then do what is right for your spiritual growth. Love will always be present in this house, but the only thing is that the love is on the path of divinity will be lasting forever. Also remember, you have some special merit from past lives. But this life is meant to test that merit as well. Now, when Venus is placed in the sixth house, so sixth house is basically related to vital realm. And here love is not free, but it becomes binding. The sixth house is where life, energy exists, but it cannot flow freely. And Venus here gives you many things like money, comfort, material pleasures, but everything comes at a price. You will get everything, but along with it comes a web of responsibilities, past life burdens, and mental confusion too. You cannot run out of that because sometimes Venus can trap you in old relationships, and even if you want, you may not feel free. The biggest contradiction here is Venus is a water element. It wants to flow, But the sixth house is earth element, so it stops and binds. So people with Venus here often feel tied in relationships, but desire freedom inside is somewhere lost. At first, relationships may feel good, but over the time, they can feel heavy too. And if in a past life you tied someone or blocked their love, then this life is the spiritual lesson for that. Love is not easy here, but if you handle this bond with service, sacrifice, and most importantly, understanding, then Venus can connect you to the depth of your soul. When Venus is in the seventh house, so here I could say this is a very special placement because seventh house is already the house of marriage, and it is not just about marriage, but it is where your spiritual journey with your life partner begins. And here Venus is Swadharmi, means strong, comfortable in its own house. Because according to Kal Purush horoscope, this is the house where Venus is already ruling. And the zodiac which is formed here is Libra, which is also already ruled by Venus. So here you can say that Venus is in its own house where it is very much strong and comfortable. This makes your marital happiness, understanding in relationships, and attraction very strong in your chart. But this house is connected to Atal meaning you get stability, you get everything, but each and everything comes after a deep test. Sometimes a relationship may enter your life very intensely and change everything, even shaking your soul. Another point, in charts with Venus in the seventh house, relationship tests often come because of a woman. Sometimes your mother in law, or an elder woman, your sister, your daughter, it can be anything. Their influence can create ups and downs in relationships. And Venus here is not toxic, but it forces you to do more than just maintaining a relationship. You need to understand, nurture, and beautify it. And during marriage or major relationships, there may be big chances, conflicts, or mental struggles. But this is when your soul grows stronger. A love journey from a past life can be completed in this life if you choose wisdom and devotion over fear. Venus in the seventh house is both a Rajyog and a test of the soul's fire. You just need to stay centered instead of getting lost in the world. Let's talk about Venus in the eighth house. So, here I could say this is not at all an ordinary placement. This is the house where not only relationships happen, but the soul's call is heard. The eighth house is literally related to Pitralok, where the unfinished wishes, where the incomplete relationships and untold stories of your ancestors exist. Here, Venus is not about just being of beauty or a pleasure or just related to material comforts. It becomes a symbol of depth, it becomes a symbol of mystery, soul connections, everything at once. Sometimes relationships in your life may feel heavy for no clear reason. If a relationship exists, then it may feel binding. If not, then there may be a sense of emptiness inside. So it's a place where you do not always understand the problem, but your heart feels it. Something is incomplete and something is missing. Another important point, Venus in the eighth house means that your life will be influenced by things from past lives. The unfinished actions of you or your ancestors now affect your relationships a lot. This is the truth. And you may receive property, but it comes because of your ancestors only. Relationships may form, but the connection will go beyond words. And Venus here it will pull you towards love. But there will always be fear, confusion, or a feeling of incompleteness. Venus in the eighth house says that love you are searching for is not from one life. It is an old debt of the soul. So remember this thing. Now, when Venus is in the ninth house, so in such a case, this is the gateway to heaven. The ninth house is all about your luck, your spirituality, your mentor, blessings, and the beginning of consciousness from which the soul starts to rise. And from here, as far as the relationships are concerned, then father is also related to ninth house. So when Venus is here, then it turns love into peace and material things into generosity. Venus does not always give you loudly. It quietly and slowly makes life beautiful. It gently turns your life in a beautiful way. But Venus in this house says that you will get everything: money, success, luxury, material comforts, everything. But there will also be satisfaction. No rush, no noise. You may get wealth, but it will be peaceful. Relationships, but deep and real, not superficial. And one another important point, people with Venus in ninth house often feel inner contentment so deeply that sometimes they do not even feel the hunger for anything more. This is why some of them marry late or are slow in relationships or feel unsure about their next steps. And some people may misunderstand them because when someone is very calm, then society may see it as strange. And Venus in this house gives a warning. Contentment is necessary, equally necessary, but do not let it become laziness. If you turn your peace into laziness, then Venus can make you isolated instead of uplifting it. But if you understand the divinity of this placement, then let me tell you, your relationships, your wealth, and life can become a blend of beauty and peace. Let's move on to 10th house. Means Venus is in the 10th house. So here it is not just a ordinary planetary placement. It is a call to Maharlok. And what is Maharlok, by the way? It is where the souls of ascetics they dwell, a place where relationships, love, wealth, happiness, these all are possible, but only through effort and discipline. And here, Venus is not just about a symbol of pleasure, it must become a companion of duty. This house says your love will succeed only when you turn it into actions. Relationships last where there is loyalty, responsibility, and service. So, people with Venus in the 10th house can elevate their relationships if they bring professional discipline and disciplined thinking into them. The deeper desire of Venus here is for stability, wealth, reputation. But this house says getting is not enough. Maintaining is more important. That is why many with Venus in the 10th house treat relationships or marriage as a responsibility. Sometimes love begins when both people are building something meaningful together, whether it is a business, say service, or social work. But if there's no honesty, Venus can bring dishonor instead of fame. So, Venus in the 10th house does not just teach love, it says turn love into actions, only then will it bear fruits. When Venus is in the 11th house, so your life is connected to Janalok. And this is not an ordinary realm. From here, Lord Brahma created the sages, who are symbols of devotion, knowledge, and service. So, Venus in this house makes a person someone who seeks spirituality even in friendships, seeing every relationship as a mission. That is why Venus here often says, let our relationships be such that society can learn from it. But because of this mindset, sometimes these all relationships are delayed or the person may hold back from marriage. They want emotional connection but are also afraid of the complexities of duty. When Venus is here, the same person is naturally drawn towards art, music, and high ideals. Or you can be sometimes creative too. But this placement can also create a friend zone situation where there are feelings but the relationship does not move forward. Venus in the 11th house often indicates that children or past karmas may influence love. But if the other person is not emotional or sees the relationship too practical, then conflict is almost certain. Now, when the Venus sits in the end of the horoscope, means at the 12th house. So, your love is about to become a sacrifice. This house is Tapolok, where the soul begins its journey and focus is on reunification, not pleasure. Venus here does not ask for pleasures, but it wants you to turn love into sacrifice. So says, it is not about how much you speak in love, it's about how much you can endure. That is why Venus in the 12th house often gives love that is distant, far away, or spiritual. Close in presence but far in experience. The lover could be a spiritual seeker, an artist, or someone lost in service or devotion. Your relationships is very pure, but the emotional distance can be challenging. Venus here can give you money, foreign connections, fame, but it also brings a sense of spiritual emptiness. So, when Venus in the 12th house is placed, then it does not betray you, but sometimes it gives you no time, no presence, or loses itself. If you can sustain this love, your life is now moving to the next level of service and devotion. And Venus here makes you a secret traveler of Tapolok.